Tuesday, June 6, the Ungodly Chain. The prophecy regarding the mark of the beast is about religious intolerance, an economic boycott, persecution, and eventually a death decree. Surprisingly, it is also a message of encouragement. Even in the worst of times, God will sustain his people who, as it says in Revelation 14:12, keep the commandments of God and have the faith of Jesus. And among those commandments, of course, is the fourth, the seventh-day Sabbath. The mark of the beast prophecy in Revelation 13 tells us about the worst and absolute fever pitch of Satan's war against God. His first strategy in this campaign is deception. Revelation 13 tells us about a time in the future when the devil will work through an earthly religio-political power called the beast and resort to force. Religious persecution, of course, is not new. It has been around ever since Cain killed Abel for worshipping the way God instructed them to worship. Let's read about that in Genesis 4, verses 1 to 8. Now Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have acquired a man from the Lord. Then she bore again, this time his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to the Lord. Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. So the Lord said to Cain, Why are you angry, and why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door. And its desire is for you, but you should rule over it. Now Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and killed him. Jesus said persecution would happen even to believers in the first century and down through the ages. The time is coming, he warned in John 16:2, that whoever kills you will think that he offers God service. And we'll also look at Matthew chapter 10 and verse 22, and you will be hated by all for my name's sake, but he who endures to the end will be saved. And 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 12, Beloved, do not think it strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. The mark of the beast prophecy is about the final link in this ungodly chain. Like the persecutions in the past, it is designed to force everyone to conform to a certain set of beliefs and an approved system of worship. Read Revelation 13, verses 15 to 17. What will God's end-time people face in the final crisis? So we read from Revelation 13, beginning at verse 15. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. The prophecy says the persecution will start with economic sanctions. No one can buy or sell unless they have the mark. When this happens, the immense majority will capitulate. Anyone who refuses will eventually be placed under a death decree. The devil is preparing professed Christians by compromises in their lives to receive the mark of the beast when the final test comes upon us in the future. God's love for each one of us will strengthen us and preserve us during the troublous times ahead. And so to finish today, read Galatians 6, verses 7 to 9. Though this is not written in the context of last day events, Why is the principle here so relevant to issues over the mark of the beast and how we can stand faithful? And Galatians 6, beginning at verse 7, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. For he who sows to his flesh will of the flesh reap corruption. But he who sows to the Spirit will of the Spirit reap everlasting life. And let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart." This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.